First topic up for accenting or ghosting, drum collecting.
Drum collecting. Oh, man. I think I'll open this one up. People are going to hate me for this. I'm going to open it up with a ghost. We're ghosting drum collecting. Man, it's not... Okay, let me first issue a pass for a certain type of person that can collect drums, and that is the studio drummer. If that's how you do it, if that's how you approach the music industry, that is your career. I do think it makes sense that you would have multiple drums made of different woods, different sizes, different shells, just to achieve a variety of different sounds. You know, good buddy of mine, E-Man Cervantes, awesome drummer for Andy Grammer. He does a lot of studio work in addition to his touring career. You know, he's a really sought after studio guy. He's performed on a lot of different albums for very, very high up artists, some of which he doesn't even really talk about, but he's got some pretty big albums before. He does have his own very high-end studio with a bunch of awesome gear, and he collects drums. Not because he's necessarily a drum nerd, but because there are certain requests that a producer or an artist could have where, hey, can you get me this kind of sound? And he wants to be able to say yes. He wants the answer to that question to always be a yes. I can get you this organic vintage sound, or yes, I can get you this giant fat rock 80 sound, or I can get you the super modern, cutting, articulate, almost like a metal processed sort of sound. You know, in that position, how lame would it be if someone said, can you get me this type of drum sound? And you were just like, well, I don't really have drums that sound that way. Like, that shouldn't be your answer to that question. So if that's your position, you're doing session work, studio work, and you need to have this wide selection of different sounds, then yes, you're the type of person that should probably collect a few drums, a few snares, and just have some sonic options in a studio. But if you are a touring drummer and that's your focus, and it's kind of the only thing that you're doing is you're like rehearsing with your band and then you're touring with your band and playing shows, or if you're an educator and you are just teaching a specific style of music, or maybe not specific, you're just teaching all sorts of different things. You know, I don't know how much sense it makes to collect gear. And my fear a lot of times, and I see people get sucked down this wormhole, is that they end up spending exorbitant amounts of money collecting gear that ultimately doesn't really serve their career in any way. Like if you just play with, let's say, a cover band, and you need one kit, that's what you really need, one kit that sounds good for a variety of different styles of music from like the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Man, I just don't know why you would need 4 drum sets for that. I really don't. I get having a few snares. I think I own 4 snares, and I own 2 drum sets, one of which I haven't played in many, many years. It's just a backup kit that I really don't need for any reason. You know, the way I look at it, I want one dope kit that can work for everything that I do. And that's how I personally see it. Anything beyond that, it just feels like, I don't know, man. It's not like guitars, right? Where like I understand a little more why people would own multiple guitars, because you could have one wall that has 40 guitars on it, and it's really easy to just pick one up and then plug that in and play it. But drums aren't like that, man. Like, how often are you seriously gonna break down your drum set and set up another one and then mic it and EQ it if you're doing all of that stuff? It just seems unrealistic, and I think people get sucked into that wormhole of collecting, and it's just like, man, there are better things to spend your money on, especially if you want an online career. Like, what about cameras? What about lenses? What about lighting? What about microphones? What about computers? What about interfaces? What about compressors? What about plugins? What about, right? There's so many other ways to spend that money. So for me, it's always been one super nice kit that I really like, that is versatile, can meet all of my needs. And anything past that is just, it feels a little greedy. It feels greedy, you know what I mean? It's kind of, it's like bacon. Like, if you eat more than 3 pieces of bacon, you're being greedy. You know what I mean? How many do you need? You need 3 pieces of bacon. Like, I know you want 7, but you probably don't need 7 pieces of bacon. You know what I'm saying? I
was going to say it's like collecting cars, but bacon, I guess, is a good analogy.
Cars is a better analogy. Yeah. It's like, I understand you. I can think of 5 cars that are dope.
Yeah.
Also, I need 1, maybe some people could argue that you need 2. Come on, let's be real here, you know? Yeah, I've tried to justify that with even the car thing, and it's hard. I have a giant Tundra.
Yeah.
Sucks. I get 11 miles to the gallon, so I got to deal with that. I also work from home, so it's not that big of a deal, and I do a lot of construction stuff here at the house, and so I need a giant truck. I've tried to argue with myself, like, what about a Prius? If I got like another, you know what I mean, the opposite.
But no.
But I don't really need it.
No.
No, it's not worth it. Yeah. That's how I feel about snares. It's just like, come on, dude, do you need another one? Like, you can only play one at a time, right? It's one of those things. But I don't know, you wouldn't say that about like t-shirts. How many t-shirts do you need? You only wear one at a time. You definitely need more than one t-shirt.
I mean, in reality, you need one t-shirt. That's it, right? You really only need one outfit the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Need. That's the important word.
Yeah.
Want is a different thing. Of course, you want 400 t-shirts.
Yeah. Well, that's 400. It's a steep amount of t-shirts. I mean, okay, let me tell you what I should explain. There is a type of person who I met when I worked at Sam Ash years ago. And these were the type of guys who did not want to practice. They didn't want to play. They were older. They normally had a very different career. So they were a doctor, lawyer, mechanic, whatever. And they retired and had a little bit of money. And their interest in the drum industry was collecting. They just wanted to come in and spend a bunch of money and talk about drums and talk about the gear and the stuff. And it was very materialistic, where it's like, but you're not even experiencing the drumming part, right? And I really disliked that. It felt like these guys got pulled down the wrong direction in the drum industry, where they're just pure consumers, but they're not really doing any of the music stuff. And I really disliked that. So that's kind of my fears. When people go too far down the gear wormhole, if you're not using any of that stuff, it bothers me a little bit. So as a whole and personally, I'm going to ghost it. I'm going to ghost it. Buy a small amount of high quality things and then make it about the music again, right? Get back to the music, you know?
There we go. Lovely answer.
Thank you for watching this clip. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking for more content like this, I have a ton of it waiting for you on OrlandoDrummer.com. It's an online education platform, very much in the style of Netflix. You can download our iOS and Android apps. Links are down in the description of this video. I promise you will find something you like there, and you can try it free for 7 days. I'll see you guys there.